We are going to discuss an important question today, which I have received many times. How experiential is religion and spirituality? Is it a matter for experience, or is it a matter of belief or faith or dogma? What is it about? Actually speaking, spirituality, Vedanta as we call it, is purely experiential. It's more than experiential actually, because it is that which is responsible for experience. Consciousness is at the very heart of experience. Anything I experience with the senses, anything I think with the mind, there is consciousness at the heart of it. Otherwise, if I was not a conscious entity, perceptions and cognitions would mean nothing. This is what happens in a robot or in an AI mechanism, you see. It's not a conscious entity, so it doesn't experience anything for itself. But it is able to project everything, give data, information, but it itself does not experience anything. So to ask if spirituality is experiential, it is at the very heart of every experience. And that is why Vivekananda used to say that all sciences are actually manifestations of religion. They are manifestations of real spirituality. So this point is something which we have to understand, but let us try to understand it through the life of Swami Vivekananda. How exactly he had the experience of Advait Vedanta. You see, it's a tremendous story. Initially, when he was a young man, Vivekananda was quite agnostic, and he has done all our doubting for us, He had so many doubts about Vedanta, and he questioned Sri Ramakrishna as nobody ever did. And the answers he got and the experiences he had, they are great pointers to our own questions. So whenever we have these doubts, I think you should simply go to the life of the masters. When Sri Ramakrishna asked the young Naren, he was at that time just 18-19 years old, he would actually give him the book Ashtavakra Gita. And Naren was reluctant to read it. He didn't want to read it. And Sri Ramakrishna would tell him, please read it at least for my sake. Read it out to me. And there's one incident which is very interesting actually. It happened in Dakshineshwar. One day Hazra, who was, one of the devotees who would sit in Dakshineshwar, he was a little strange man, and he and Naren were having a conversation. And Naren was telling Hazra, see, it's written in all these books on Vedanta that everything is Brahman, everything is God. How can it be? What meaningless stuff this is. How can it be that this cup is God and this pot is God and this door is God? Can there be anything like this? They must be out of their minds to give out such a philosophy. So the two of them were talking like this and conversing and laughing. At that point, Sri Ramakrishna heard them. You see, his room was just adjacent to where Hazra used to sit. So he came out of his room. He came and asked Naren, what is it that you're talking about? And he touched Naren. When Sri Ramakrishna touched Naren's heart, immediately there was such a revolution within him, such a tremendous transformation of his consciousness that he actually saw Brahman everywhere. He actually saw name and form receding, and only pure consciousness in all its effulgence, all its luminosity shining everywhere, and everything manifest is a manifestation of that same one pure consciousness, undifferentiated. This is how he saw the whole thing. He had Brahma Jnana then and there, just by the power of the touch of his Guru. And how obvious this became to him was, when he was returning back home, he saw clearly he couldn't differentiate between himself and the carriages on the road. Just imagine this situation. It is written in all these records are there. Naren could not make out where his body ends and the carriage begins. He goes home, food is laid out on the table, and his mother is requesting him to eat. He doesn't see the difference between himself and the food on his plate. Somehow he gulps down something and then goes to his room. He clearly sees that everything is as it were shining in pure consciousness. There is only Brahman, and everything that appears is actually it's an appearance in Brahman. It's not the real thing. Names and forms had receded for him, and this state of consciousness persisted for a long time. he went to Cornwallis Square, and there he actually banged his head against the railings to see how real they were. So you see, the very definition of reality changes when an experience like this happens. What is it that we usually call real is what we can perceive through the senses, but this is a very poor definition. Even if you go into the heart of science, you will see it's a poor definition. Reality is that which does not change. This is the Vedantic definition. Reality has these characteristics. It is self-luminous, which means it is conscious. It should be conscious by itself, existent by itself and not due to something. It must be changeless. It is not transient or ephemeral. It is ever present. In all three states, it is present. For all time, it is present. It is unchanging truth. And it should be abadhita, which means it is unsublatable, unnegatable by any means. So if these characteristics are there, one more characteristic is it is eternal. Not that it means it goes on in time, but it goes beyond time. The dimension of time and space, it is not limited by that. So if these characteristics are present, we say something is real. Now, if you check and see, nothing in this material universe and not even our body and mind can subscribe to this definition of reality. And so they are considered unreal. But consciousness, you will see, satisfies all these conditions. And that is why Brahma Satyam Jagad Mithya, consciousness is the core reality of this existence. And it is one, non-dual. And it is of the nature of existence and bliss. It is the very heart of our being. We are Brahman manifesting through a body and mind. So this understanding came so clearly in the life of Swami Vivekananda that it became pretty obvious that Advaita is the truth of existence. And this led to great fulfillment in his life. 10 years after this experience, he was to declare this truth from platforms across the world in America and Europe. So this is the Advaitic experience. Even in Kausipur Garden House, Swami Vivekananda had the experience of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And his preaching of Advait Vedant, you must know, was based on these profound experiences. If you read Swamiji's Jnana Yoga, you will see how it's a living experience that he's speaking about. And in the authentic lives of these masters, you will find the best demonstrations of these highest philosophies, Vedant and Advait Vedant. Now, what was the result of this? You know, Sri Ramakrishna asked Swamiji that how would you want to live after this? And Swamiji had said that I would really want that I remained all the time in that profound state of complete consciousness, Brahmagyan, and only come out once in a while for a little food, for a little sustenance, and then go back into that state. And then Sri Ramakrishna, you see, a guru must have been happy, but Sri Ramakrishna felt sad. And he said, well, you have such a small mind. I thought you would be a big banyan tree giving shelter to thousands. But you are asking just for Brahmagyan for yourself. Don't you yourself sing this song that Tujhse humne dil ko lagaya, jo kuch hai so tu hi hai. This manifest world is nothing but the same Brahman. It is, the manifested world is the same Brahman expressing itself through a multitude of names and forms. And so, service of this manifest world is equivalent to Brahmagyan, is equivalent to the worship of the highest. So, if you close your eyes, you see Brahman. You open your eyes, you see the same Brahman. And that is why you see that song actually encapsulates this meaning, that whenever Tujhse humne dil, whenever I apply my mind to you, O Lord, I see you alone have become everything. So you see, Sri Ramakrishna's perspective was this, that the same Brahman manifests through all beings, everywhere, at any given point of time. It is only Brahman, not that the world is and then there is a separate God. It is Brahman alone manifesting through everything. It's like you see the same water appears as waves, appears as bubbles, appears as foam. So this idea has to be digested. It comes through profound experiences, but it can also come through, you see, if one has the sanskars of Vedanta, it can come as a living philosophy of life. It is even without analysis, it is a direct truth. It's a direct perception actually. And then if one has deep inner, a spiritual calling, spiritual experience, then this truth gets established. So the whole point of Swami Vivekananda's life was to bring these ideas, these truths into manifestation in this world, into full expression in this world. The more we are able to dive into the truth of Vedanta, the more we will see the truth of Vedanta in everything around us. So this is the great message which Vivekananda has given us. That is why then he used expressions like this: I worship that God who by the ignorant is called man. And then he would say that the human soul in the human body is the only God to worship. And the body is the Taj Mahal of temples. That sacred it is, because it houses the very essence of divinity, the human soul. So throughout the Vivekananda literature, you will find such expressions of Swamiji which capture the very essence of Vedanta. With this, I would like to conclude that realization, spirituality is purely experiential, and it is the truth of existence itself. The greatest equation we can have about existence and consciousness is existence is equal to consciousness, which is equal to happiness. The more we dive into sadhana, the more this becomes, you can realize this fact. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.